In this video, I'm going to cover an overview of Optimal IDM's People Picker, or Claims Provider as it's known, for SharePoint 2010. The first thing to know is SharePoint 2010 can be configured not only to use Windows integrated into Active Directory for its authentication, but it can also be configured in a federated route using federated claims authentication. This picture depicts that architecture where SharePoint is up here as a claims-aware application, and it's performing its authentication over to an identity provider, a secure token service that's performing that authentication. In this particular case, it's going to our virtual identity server where it can authenticate users to multiple data sources. This could also be an Active Directory Federation Services, or ADFS, performing the authentication to Active Directory, which is its only authentication. See our Active Directory Federation Services, or our VIS for Federation Services video for more information on our whole federated solution. One thing to bring up that happens for an architecture such as this is we have basically broken the tie between SharePoint and the physical directory because now authentication is happening here at this level within the identity provider. So what that means is that using the People Picker interface through SharePoint, you can't search for users anymore within the system. I'll give you an example and show you that here. So if we log into SharePoint, and I'm just logging in through our federated solution here, I'm logged in, I've been authenticated. SharePoint 2010 is set up for federation. If I go to list permissions of a given document library and I go to grant permissions, here's the standard People Picker dialog. It's actually a claims provider, but looks like it and is referred to as the People Picker within SharePoint. If I type something, so I'll just type TT, hit enter, you'll notice that we have our Optimal Claims Provider. We also have an ADFS provider, the default one out of the box. I've left it here. You could hide this if you wanted to, and most of our customers do. But taking a look at the ADFS provider, you'll see that it resolved TT for the users, groups, and OUs. Of course, there is no TT in the directory. It just takes whatever you type. It will resolve that value, and if I click here and click OK, I can grant full permissions to this claim of TT, and you can see that was a user object there. So user TT has full control, but of course that's not a real user in my directory. So when you deploy SharePoint in a federated route where you're federating internally to directories that you own and maintain on your own premise, you would like to be able to search your directory. Basically what we have done is bring back that search capability so that you can search the directories, your internal directories, whatever they are, because it's going through our VIS service. And you'll see here that now I'm going to type J and do star. Again, ADFS resolved to nothing. But down here at the VIS layer, you'll see our claims provider is showing Joe Cool, Nada Jumper, and Jeff Boren. Those are real users that exist in the directory. So there's Jeff, Nada, and the other one was in a different directory. So Joe Cool was in a different one. So we've actually searched the directories for the users, groups, and actually cost center, which I'll show in a second. So now you can actually assign permissions to a real user and know with confidence that Joe Cool is the user identity that has done this. I didn't mistype his email address and assign permissions to the wrong person, for example. So I have selected the right person. So that's a very powerful feature. I want to go back in and show one other piece of functionality. I'm going to show here and just do an M. So again, you'll see here, found several groups, and from a user perspective, it found Mike Brangs, Mary Market, and Mary Smith. So found 3 users that matched the M. So now I'm going to go ahead and log in as a different user. So again, coming back to the login page here, and we're going to log in as Mary Market. So select username and password, and we're going to go Mary.market, enter her password, and authenticate over to SharePoint. We're going to go to the sales list, and we're going to go list, permissions, grant, and we're going to again do the same search of M. In this particular case, did see the same groups, but only see 2 users, Mary Smith and Mary Market. So logged in as Mary Market, Mary cannot see Mike Brangs. And here's the reason why. We actually configured a rule that if the company of the logged in user equals any other user, they can see them. So in this particular case, I use company. So if the company attribute for Mary Market, which is set to Microsoft, matches for any other user, it doesn't match for Mike, right? My company is set to Optimal. It does for Mary Smith, though. So I've now created this link to say users with these attributes matching can see each other. So if I logged in as Mary Smith would also see Mary Market but would not see Mike Brangs. So that's a very powerful feature in terms of being able to group who can see what users within the people picker or claims provider in SharePoint. Very valuable feature. The next feature that I'm going to show is one around this other attribute that I have configured, which is Cost Center. So what this allows you to do is I'm going to go ahead and type in 1,000. And you notice again ADFS resolve for all three. But in the optimal one, you can see, and these icons, by the way, for the groups, the users, they're all configurable as well through the interface. But you'll notice it did resolve for 1,000. And it's going to resolve for 2,000 and 3,000. I'm going to go ahead and put 6,000, and notice that the claims provider didn't resolve to that. Our claims provider didn't. And the reason for that is I've actually configured 1,000 through 3,000 as available claim values to choose within SharePoint. So we give you this pick list ability, basically. You can choose for a given claim what are the available values that can be assigned as permissions. So now somebody logs in and their cost center does equal 1,000 and I've assigned permissions, they would have access. So it allows you to give that granular control on what somebody would use from a value perspective of a claim within SharePoint to assign permissions. So the three main things the claims provider provides for SharePoint. One is the ability to actually search when SharePoint's configured in Federation, to actually search your directories, find users, groups, and any other claims that you've set up, and actually assign the permissions from a true search, select, and assign capability. Two, the filtering, where like users, and you could do this on more than one attribute. I did it just on company, where company equaled company, they could see each other. And then third, the ability here to provide a pick list of values of available claim values. So that gives you the overall overview of the optimal claims provider, or people picker as it's known within SharePoint 2010. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to email our sales organization.